Hey guys, this is Jennifer from the Shooter's Mindset. We are live with episode 385. Had a little break there, so we haven't been on very much in the last month. Took a little breather, but now we're back. So I'm here with my co-host, Greg Cannon. How's it going?
Hey, everyone.
And our guest of the hour this week, we have Mike Oslizlo from Norma Ammunition. He's the product manager, and so we're going to be talking with him. How's it going, Mike?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. I think it was a meeting of chance now that you're down in our neck of the woods, and I think Greg ran into you and so got you on the show this way. Y'all are housed in Savannah, Georgia, one of my favorite cities.
Yes, so far it's been treating me well. It's having some good times out at Cool Acres, getting to meet a few good people. So it's good to hook up with Greg there, and then enjoying Savannah and the warmth, and finally out of the snow. So no more. Somebody made the comment of you can't shovel sunshine, so I'm happy for that.
That's true. Next time I'm in Savannah, I'm going to hit you up. I want to come tour the factory. That'd be fun.
Well, what'll be really nice is when you come in about a year and a half, and we've got a really nice facility to show you, hopefully. So that'll be the big excitement.
I'm gonna hold you to it.
No problem.
So for anybody unfamiliar with you, you're kind of new in this area. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of what you do for Norma, and how you got interested in shooting and then ended up working with Norma?
For sure. Yeah. So again, lots of background outside of the firearms industry. So I come from automotive, spent almost 20 years in engineering and in product management, basically making sure people have the right things. So spent a lot of time with parts, a lot of times making sure people have the right parts. But I've been an active hunter, active shooter, enjoying the life of a outdoorsman for probably the last 15 plus years. Got into some private security stuff for some volunteer work. Was able to get into some pretty good hunting circles, and realized that I really just loved this industry. Went through some courses, got some NRA certifications, became a trainer, some range safety officer stuff. Spent some years doing that, and then one day kind of went, I really don't even like cars that much. They do a great job of getting me back and forth to work, but other than that, there's nothing that exciting to them about them to me personally. So I started looking one day, and realized that they needed product managers in every industry. So went around, dug around, looked around, and made some really great contacts down here in Savannah with Norma. I mean, they were going through some new things. Well, I know we'll talk about that a little bit, some new changes with Norma, but decided, hey, why not apply what I love to do with what I kind of have to do, which is make some money. So just got into that. Been down here in the South now for 3 months. So far, everybody says, oh, if as long as you can get past the heat and the humidity, you'll do fine. And so far, I haven't ran back north. So hopefully that means I'm good to go. So
we're going to fix that accent, though.
I figure it won't take me long to pick up at least a few things. But yeah, I'm clearly northern for now.
We'll change it. The South gets into you. It has a way of doing that.
Well, it slows you down a little bit too. Somebody said the whole reason you go slower is because you're hot, and I kind of get that.
Well, that's kind of true. So tell us a little bit about Norma and kind of the history of Norma, the location. Give us the deep.
So Norma's a pretty old company. I mean, they've been around for 120 years. And the only reason people don't normally know anything about them is they spent most of their time in Europe. You start looking at Europe and you look back to war periods, early on, and every country had a plant to manufacture ammunition, to develop the next thing to win a war, to figure out what they needed to do. As that started going away, Norma, through some other organizations, they were part of RUAG up until just recently here. They kind of acquired multiple locations across Europe with some really great locations to help support the sale across the world, but focused really the majority of their attention in the European area. So they really come heavily out of Sweden. So we've got a great facility there in the central west side of Sweden and Emmetfors. That there's actually was a video just recently posted with some live walkthroughs at the facility. So that's pretty exciting. We also then have a really great facility down in Fürth, Germany. So they do a lot of our, I would call it bulk heavier loading opportunities out of Germany. So a lot of the people that buy like big millions of quantities, and we've got some great facilities in Switzerland. If you've never heard of Swiss P as a product line, the Swiss P line is actually from the same manufacturer, and it's really geared heavily towards police departments, military, creating sniper and duty rounds. So they have some really cool things there. We have a really cool line through some of our Swiss P that's multiple different types of projectiles that are tuned so that they stay zeroed within your rifle depending on the need. So whether you need a barrier penetrator, whether you need something armor piercing, whether you need something that's a critical impact type, item, you can switch ammunition and you don't have to re-zero your rifle, which is great for the guy sitting on a roof somewhere that needs to make a decision. So that's pretty cool. And then we've got some support, when we need to kind of hit more of some of the budget market over in Hungary. So, and then most recently, now that they've decided they need to branch out of Europe and do some better things over here, which really just started probably in the last 6 to 8 years, and really only took shape over the last 2 or 3 in more of a forward fast movement, moving down here into the Savannah area. So we started out a little bit down in Tampa as we just kind of got our feet into land, and then just moved everything to the Savannah area beginning of the year. So temporarily in some housing here, and there's been some publications that have come out that we're building a entire new manufacturing facility here in the Savannah area. So it'll be a little bit west of Savannah, and we'll be doing everything from case manufacturing, bullet manufacturing, assembly, distribution, all of our R&D ranges on sites, R&D facilities on site, so that we can start expanding our capabilities here in the U.S.
That's awesome.
I'm
So,
totally coming to that, by the way.
It's going to be pretty cool. I'm pretty excited. We've got a lot of equipment that's being spec'd out to really expand this facility. So we're gonna make some big changes here in the U.S. to help us out with distribution and also with manufacturing.
that'll be awesome.
Mike
So-
Bill asked the question: are you making primers?
So we actually do make our own primers. So we make them, a large percentage of them are out of our German facility. So we do a lot of primers out of Germany. At one point in time, we were selling primers, but we had to get through this whole pandemic craziness, all of the boats turning sideways in canals and all this other garbage that made it so that you couldn't ship things around. And since we are just ramping up our manufacturing here, we had to rely on everything that was coming in from overseas. So we've been playing catch up like everybody else. The one good thing that we had for some of our customers early on is we were the last known guys because the name's just not known as much here. So we held on to inventory a lot longer than a lot of people. So we ended up picking up a lot of business that people just couldn't fill. And it's helped us kind of gain some traction in the industry, letting people think past just Norma brass. I mean, Norma brass, for anybody that's been shooting for any real period of time, they know the name, they've seen the name, they know that we make quality brass. But now they started seeing more and more of everything else that we can do.
That's awesome. So for anybody that's confused, I know there's always been some confusion between what is RUAG and what is Norma. What's the relationship there? Tell us a little bit about that.
So technically now there's no relationship. So as of the start of August, RUAG has sold off all of their basically small arms divisions. So everything that was in the US, our official name was Amotech We also have a few other names in Europe that were given to it, have all been sold to Beretta Holdings. So we're now underneath the Beretta umbrella as a company. Doesn't change a whole lot from our end with the way that they do business. Beretta Holdings basically comes in and says, keep making money and send us our check, right? And we may work a little bit on some projects with some of those other brands that are under the Beretta umbrella, but it's independent companies. I mean, it's been very clearly stated to us that we are a company that needs to run our business. Here's a contact so that you can chat a little bit, but in general, you're going to run your business. So as we've tried to change names now underneath the Beretta Holdings, the official name here in the U.S. is Norma Precision Inc. Is what you would find us as an organization. It's the same in some of our European countries. One of the other names in Europe that they've chosen to transition to is RWS. So a lot of people actually don't really put that together when you start talking about some of the other brands. That whole RWS line out of Europe is actually the same family as Norma. So the things like the Norma 22 rimfire is coming off the same lines as RWS ammunition. So that's our facility there in Germany. So it's just one more brand that allows us to penetrate a region. The RWS has done very well in Europe, but there wasn't a great reason to run two brands here in the US. So we familyed everything under Norma. And then even in some of the more Eastern European nations, we actually use the Gecko branding. So there's a few different brands that get utilized. And we're actually in process of launching, we actually do some of our more affordable lines, or when we have something that we kind of need to help get rid of, like happens in any industry. We have Ammo Shop Online, which is actually an organization that Norma Precision Inc. owns. So that allows us to be able to send off, to be able to put things under as we find it, and don't really have a good reason to put it under the Norma name, but want to make sure to offer it to the industry.
I mean, if you ever need to get rid of ammo, only 2
I can't
hours.
tell you. I can't tell you how many friends that as soon as I landed down in Savannah, were asking how long it takes for a package to arrive back at home. So I've got every tester, every volunteer that I've ever known in my life. So
I mean, you were saying y'all had to unload some, so I'm just saying, I mean, I'll take one for the team if you ever have something. You don't have to put it on a website.
I'll say I got a
usually
big
what
truck and
happens
trailer.
is
I
it
can
has to
come
do
pick
with,
up.
like packaging guidelines, where we have product that it doesn't fit underneath the Norma ammunition branding. So we need to sell it somewhere, but that means we can't sell it through our Norma USA, Norma shooting site that we sell direct through. So we don't want to put additional brands underneath that stuff that's really just the Norma branded product. So we've created that to be able to offer some things to the marketplace. We've started kind of partnering with some other things. We've got some products at times that we're bringing in that can help support the shooter, give them an opportunity to buy something else with. When you have things like shipping charges, sometimes you need to add something else that you want to do. So we started adding some additional product lines to help support trusted brands that we think would be good fits within our product lines.
Yeah, because I see if you get up to $150, you get free shipping.
Yes. Yeah, which, again, for people like us, $150 is an easy number, right? I mean, I don't think I've ever bought ammo for less than $150. Let's put it that way. So unless I'm in a store and just buy a couple boxes real quick for something that I saw on the shelf.
I was about to say nothing that you ordered for sure.
Yes. I mean, I can't see a reason to buy any less than a case at a time.
Exactly. I mean, in precision rifle, if you buy one box, like by the time you get it zeroed, like you need more ammo.
Yep. Well,
so you might as well get the same lot.
Exactly. That's the beauty of it, right? You buy a case, and when we're making cases, they're coming off the line, which means you're getting the same lot. You're not worried about getting stuff that was made today and the stuff that was made in 6 months. At least then you've got a pretty good amount to be able to shoot for a while before you have to spend the time making sure it's right again. So
It's all
definitely,
made in the same humidity of Savannah for that day.
well, the good news is, well, I shouldn't say the good news, but currently from Savannah, think more like bulk ammunition. So a lot of what we're doing here is our assembly processes of more bulk FMJ training type ammunition. Really right now, anything that you would buy that would be a precision round is still coming out of our factories in Sweden. So you're getting, the beautiful countryside of Sweden, where if you zoom in and you see the plant, when you zoom out once, all you see is trees.
So what all products do y'all have? So twofold question. One, what all do y'all manufacture here? And then also what all is available to the US? So even if it's not made here and I want to order it, what all, so a twofold question.
Yep. So in the US right now, we're really just assembling from components from our other facilities in Europe until we get all of our component lines online. But we're assembling, again, what I would call more bulk ammunition. So really all of your pistol FMJ rounds, some of your standard like 223 FMJ rounds. We're getting into some more interesting 223 5.56 rounds. And then some of our like defensive pistol rounds is really all the categories that we're dealing with today. If we get back together in a couple of months, the list will probably grow some, because we're kind of adding every 30 to 45 days, we're adding more things here to the plan.
You're building from the ground up right now here.
Exactly. But then from outside, we bring in a pretty extensive amount of what's done overseas. So Norma-Ammunition is our global site that outlines like all the various product lines that Norma itself under a Norma brand offers. I would say we supply probably, or we're bringing in almost 90% of what's in that website. So from a standpoint of like, we've got a pretty extensive line of precision rounds for the more common cartridges. It's like one of those things, we were talking a little bit before we got started on some of the BRs, and we've got brass for that, but most of the time the people that want BR are very, very controlling over what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. So it's like, what round do I load? How do I make it? What do I do for everyone? Okay, I'll just sell you guys some brass. That's what you want anyways. I actually at the event this weekend, I think there was some BR and some Dasher sold from our website this weekend from people that found out that they could get it in stock from Savannah. So hopefully that stuff shipped already, yesterday or early this morning, and they got their brass in their house today. So again, we try to do some of the brass. Part of what I'm doing now is I'm so early on. This weekend gave me a perfect opportunity to see what's going on out there, what people are looking for. Again, I come from a lot of pistol, some hunting, but not a lot of precision shooting. So that gave me a great first taste of what's going on. Outside of the precision side, we have some great hunting ammunition. Everything from standard soft point rounds. We've got some like some frangible, really awesome rounds for when you really need some impact force. And then really probably our most exciting hunting round is our Bond Strike. So everything we have, it's kind of more exotic. It's in what we call our Strike family. And it's a bonded projectile with a tapered front nose. So it makes it so that when you shoot close, it expands like crazy. It all stays together, does a ton of damage. But because it's thinned the further out you go, when you hit it at 600-700 yards away, it still mushrooms really, really good, provides a ton of impact and stays all together and is perfect for that. So it's kind of whether I need to shoot it at 30 yards away or as far as what makes sense, I can pull this thing out and shoot. So we offer some various levels of hunting ammunition, some precision stuff, a lot of brass, and we're trying to bring it in as fast as we can to help support.
Greg.
Sorry, I finally got that pin. Sorry, Facebook did this cool thing where it like updated, and I always try and pin the podcast to the very top of the page, and I couldn't find the button, but I found it. Anyway, now we're about at the midpoint of the show. Remember, if you're watching us live on Facebook, ask any questions you may have in the comments, and we'll ask it live on air. Other ways to catch us, you can always check back on the Shooter's Mindset Facebook page. The videos stay up there forever. We usually upload all the podcast apps the night after the show, and then finally everything eventually ends up on the Shooter's Mindset YouTube page, where we have all of our historical episodes all the way back to episode number 1.
Do we have lives?
We do. Mike asked if the Norma Precision 22 is more comparable to the R50 or the R100 round.
So the good news is I took that away. There was a nice gentleman at the event this weekend that was asking about that. And it is actually, so our Norma Match 22 is the same as the RWS Rifle Match. So it's that product line out of RWS, that Rifle Match line. So that's, again, luckily I took that away this weekend, and that was the first email that went out to my team over in Germany. So making sure I can match those up.
Oh yeah, everyone always has those tricky questions for you.
At least if I'm smart enough to put it in my phone so I can remember to ask the question and be prepared for it. So.
So on Saturday when we were chatting at the MPA match out at Cool Acres, you were telling me about some super secret new rimfire projectile you might be testing sometime soon.
Yep, and again, there's some things out there, so it's probably not as secret as you would think. RWS is also launching this product line under a long range RWS. But again, actually, I had some things here. Here's one of the things going to get ready to come out. So we've actually patented out a brand new projectile design. So what we've done is we've kind of dynamically taking the tip and the tail and tuned that tip and added a feature to the tail to cut down on the resistance of it. And we're seeing some fantastic results out of this. We've got some pretty big studies that have gone into place over in Europe at amazingly like a 300-meter indoor range, which I need to find one of those so I can go hang out whenever I want to. But to take all any effect of anything out of the equation for 300 meters would just excite the snot out of me. But they were seeing very, very fantastic results from this. And again, what we talk about is more the transition of accuracy, right? It's you're never going to hit the same, exact point forever, away on a target. It's going to slowly increase. But what's great is everything that we did on these, we see this nice slow transition all the way out to 300 meters. It's this thing where you never see a spike of performance degradation. So we're going to hopefully have this stuff here in the next 2 to 3 weeks at max. And actually the cool part is working really closely with Cool Acres and Eric out there. Great facility. He's going to help us do some things out there so that we can hopefully see how far we can push this thing. So the goal is to see if we can push this thing to some extremes and get some people excited about how far they can go.
You need to get with our friends from AB.
Yeah.
Applied Ballistics. They do all kinds of cool, they basically analyze like every minute of flight of bullets and doing all of the radars and getting the speed and when it slows down, and it's really cool.
It's and that's the thing we're looking for. It's like we don't want to put anything on this one yet to say like exactly what it's going to do, because again, I don't trust anybody. I don't care where the data is coming from, but we're going to really push this one and see where it goes, so that we can create some real legitimate numbers for people. If it's a 500-yard accurate 22 LR, I'd love to talk about it. If it's a 600 accurate, I'd love to talk about it. you know what, if it's only going to be really good for that 300-400 yard, but works fantastic for some of this competition, it's still something exciting to talk about. But it's like, where's that transition going to happen? I caught an early video that I think somebody slipped a little bit and used some wrong terms. They started claiming 1,000 yard, and I was like getting super geeked and excited on a 22 LR. I think we talked a little bit about this, Greg. It's like, how do you figure out how far it'll go? Do you shoot 100 times and finally hit the target and call it good? That's not good, right? That doesn't make for good ammunition. That just makes for a lucky day. So we really want to understand what this could turn into from time over time, consistency for the shooter. What could you compete at? Could you start competing at 500 yards with your 22 LR? Well, if you can, let's talk about it and let's get excitement.
That's
That
very cool.
sounds awesome. Before we go on to the next one, we had a bunch of lives come in during that. Brian asked what the part number is for the new design 22.
So for the new one, I don't have the official part number in my system yet. So to give it out would not do any good. But when we do get it, the plan is to list it directly on our website for a while to give the normal person a chance to get out and buy this stuff. We don't want somebody to buy the, 15 pallets of it that we bring in, and then everybody has to go try to find it. So the goal is to see what we can do to try to get this in the hands of real people that can enjoy the sport.
If you hit one of us up whenever it's live, if I don't know if y'all will post about it or whatever, but if you do, we can either share your post on our page, or we can make a post about it being live on your website. So when it goes up, let us know.
For sure, definitely. Yeah, we're going to be teasing stuff as we get more information rather rapidly. One of the big things when we start talking about some of the shooting that we want to do out before, hopefully, the October 29th regional that's down here at Cool Acres. And if we can get things in and we can get some things verified ahead of time, we might actually have some of it out there for some people to kind of see what it can maybe do. And we've even talked a little bit about the idea of how far can it go, and what constitutes maybe like a record-setting ammunition. So it's we're not sure yet whether that's the reality or not, but we're kind of prepping ourselves for the idea that who knows what this could turn into.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And you mentioned our little conversation that we had at the end of the day about, well, how do I prove to people what this does? And it's funny, I got home and the internet was on fire. Over the weekend, somebody set a new world record longest shot. For those of you listening on the podcast, I'm doing the winky things with my fingers. And apparently what was used for this was they put out a target and he shot at it, and on his 69th shot he impacted. And yes, that's a very long shot, and he did indeed hit that plate. But so this is a question, everybody following or everybody watching right now, comment and let us know what you would say. How would you constitute a world record longest shot, specifically for a 22? So how far, well, I guess how far is what we're going to figure out, but what size plate, do we get sighters and warm-up shots? Obviously, we're going to test it beforehand, but what would you consider if you sat down and you saw a video of somebody making the longest world record shot? What would make you say, yes, that is a world record shot? Not like, oh, he got lucky on number 69 there. And
I think world records should be made at matches, personally. I mean, if I'm like really fast and I go down to the high school and I run really fast and I make a world record, no one's going to care or call it a world record because it was not sanctioned and controlled and witnessed. by everyone, right? And so then how do you know that the distance really was 100 meters? How do you know it wasn't, 89 meters? And I just said it was 100, so it gets into that. And these target distances, how do you know? Was it verified how far it was? All of that. So I personally think that they should be done in a match. And if you are world record worthy, then you should be able to reproduce it in a match personally.
Yeah, I think if it was in an ELR style match, I think that is the place to set a true ELR record. And
Right.
the official title holder versus just like, hey, we've proved this can happen. Like, even if it doesn't take like a true record and you get a trophy in the book of records, like, I guess what would get the street cred?
Mike, what you think?
Well, and man, I dug around and around, and I actually had a great conversation with a guy on, I believe it was at Sunday at the rimfire match, that was talking about the idea behind establishing, again, these sets of rules, and it became, okay, you set up a witness target for you to do a certain amount of warm up, because you don't expect people to just walk up and shoot, right? That's okay, warm it up, learn where the distance is, verify your thing, but you don't get to sit there and play with it all day. And then really the way to prove accuracy is that you can repeat. So we start talking about, okay, if you get lucky and hit it once, that doesn't mean anything to me. If you can shoot it 3 times in a row, now we can maybe start talking. And so, I mean, we've even started talking through some ideas on like, do you set up a warm up witness sheet and then your next 3 shots after you've determined that you're warmed up, have at it. If you hit it, you've done it. If you haven't, sorry, you couldn't complete the task. And how do you do that? How big of the plate? I've I had some conversations on this where I had people say, well, if it's bigger than a 12-inch plate, then it's not fair. And then I had other people say, man, if you could hit a 3-foot circle at an extreme distance, I would tell you, game on, that thing's awesome. But when they started talking extreme, they were like, if you were going to shoot a target at 7, 8, 9, 1,000, and you could hit a 3-foot plate, I would think it was amazing. But then I had another person saying, well, I don't care what distance is. If you can't hit a 12-inch plate, then it shouldn't count. So we're still kind of playing with that. There's definitely a lot of ambiguity to it. And there's clearly, I mean, I've dug in trying to find some things. So unless somebody knows of a link that I couldn't find through our good buddy Google anywhere, I can't find anything where anybody has any real set requirements. But for my idea, it would be more of a, maybe you get 10 rounds. Here's your first 7 to warm up, and then you get 3 to put it on, or you didn't do it,
So Ruth commented, she said ELR Central used to have some pretty decent rules and was tracking it. She thinks the last record was 500 yards even, 3 shots in a row on a 12x12 plate, distance verified by 3 different rangefinders and witnessed by at least 10 people. And then Justin said that he thinks that it should be 5 shots on an MOA-ish plate at a controlled event. So,
all right,
we'll look around and see if we can find the all the info on the ELR Central page, because that would be a good standard to go for.
Yeah, hey, why not, right? It's like if we've got something that at least we can show what we can do, it'd be interesting. And if they've got something on paper that says somebody was able to do this at 500, well, it'd be nice if we could do more than that. Get people a little more excited about it.
I'm just glad that I don't have to make that decision. Because it's like any decision, there's going to be people that don't like it.
For sure. Somebody's going to say, well, anybody could do that if they got lucky. And you're like, okay, like, well, how do you take out the idea of luck, or what constitutes accurate, right? It's how close together at what distance is still accurate, and seems like the further away you get with the shortcomings of various things, the rules should, in theory, change some, right? It's
Yeah, I think you have to look at the ballistics of the round that you're using, not necessarily just the particular bullet. Like if you're using, someone's bullet over the other, but I mean, ballistically, like what that round generally can do,
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to change what's reasonable. I mean, hitting a 10-inch plate at, 500 yards is pretty easy with center fire, but hitting a 10-inch plate at 500 yards with a 22, that's pushing it a little bit. That's tight. And anybody that says, oh, that's easy, has probably never tried to shoot long distance like that. But the ballistics of that is so different that, I feel like it has to go into that. And I feel like someone much smarter than me has to figure that out. But
yeah, when you were talking about that, the record from this weekend, I saw pictures of that rifle and the way they had set up the optic to the barrel. And I mean, the barrel sitting up in the sky, and the optic so that they could raise it, and it's shooting up into a rainbow. And you're going, they had, I guess they had multiple spotters downrange, because what was it, like 4 miles or something like that? Or
It was 4,400 yards, I think, something around there. It was crazy far.
yeah.
how long did it take them to do 69 rounds? Because that barrel gets so hot, like you gotta wait like 10 minutes.
It had to be an all-day ordeal, at least.
And I'm just imagining, like, every time you make a change, I mean, any change could mean nothing or could mean a huge change at that point. I mean, that's I'm gonna move 0.1 mil, and then all of a sudden it's 45 feet in the other direction. It's
That is crazy.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you've ever shot one of those ELR rifles before, but they are ridiculous. How long ago was that? 4 years ago now?
It just came up in my memories and I reposted it.
Yeah, you reposted it, and then I saw it, and I was going to repost. I think it was 4 years ago. Out at the Precision Rifle Expo, we got to shoot Robert Brantley's rifle that he just won the King of 2 Miles with, and that was still to this day the coolest shot that I've ever made in my entire life.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Johnny commented, he asked, when the Norma finishes their new manufacturing facility, where will there be jobs available, or job fair or anything like that?
we're already hiring. I want to say we use Indeed pretty regularly for positions, and we're doing manufacturing jobs now, where we're doing priming equipment, assembly equipment. I mean, we just hired a couple more QA people. We're getting people out of our facility who are doing the distribution side. I mean, there's between the on the floor doing the jobs, and then also then expanding our personnel for other purposes. So we're hiring as we grow. So every month it seems like we've got more jobs and more people needed. So every time we buy another piece of equipment.
You guys need any automation engineers?
Probably at some point.
All right, holla.
Yeah.
Also, Johnny, I forgot to ask it earlier, or read it earlier. He thanked you guys for coming out and sponsoring their coastal, I forgot the name of Johnny's NRL 22 series. But he said thank you for that.
Yeah. So we're trying to get out more and more, do things for sure local to the area, because again, if you can't support the industry right around you, the sport right around you, then why be in it, right? It's like, we'll expand as we go, but at a start, we need to at least make sure we're getting the word out that we're here in town, we're in Georgia, we're loving the people down here in the South, and how do we grow?
That's awesome. That's a good way to do it. Make friends with all your local shooters.
I want to say we're actually coming up. There's a shotgun event coming up that we're helping support. I mean, we're not in. We do have some shotgun lines in Europe. We don't send any of that over here right now, because really everything they have there is for some very special purposes. But it helps us to get out in the community and help support the local area. So, and usually if you shoot a shotgun, you probably shoot a pistol or a rifle also. So why not get out there and at least make sure we're out doing some things for the community?
That's really cool. Is there any plans to expand your shotgun offerings with being owned by Beretta now?
So we've talked about it. We're working on some things in the background. Nothing that's firm yet on where we would end up, what we would do. But it's definitely some business plans being put in place to see how much, if any, or if not, or make the most sense. That's a tough one to get into. The shotgun shell realm is it's pretty flooded, and technology is a little rough.
Yeah, and I know that there's some places that you can go and excel. Like I know one of the brands, and I forgot which brand it is. They make a low recoiling slug. That thing is awesome for 3-gun. I have some of those in the closet behind me, and the first time
And you know what? At 15 feet down your hallway, they won't notice that it's low recoiling.
Yep, but after a weekend of shooting 300 rounds of 12 gauge, my shoulder realized they were low recoiling.
Oh, it's not that bad.
I know, because I use the low recoiling slugs.
I didn't, and I did fine.
Yes, you did.
Which ones? The Fiocchi?
No, the other ones that we shot that weekend. They're in a different box.
I don't remember that.
It's brown, red on the top.
Yeah, whatever. I don't remember. So, Mike, one of your responsibilities with your new role is to look out and assess kind of what new products are needed here in the States for both rimfire and rifle cartridges, which is probably part of the reason that you hung out at Cool Acres and all that. So what are you hearing so far? What are the hot ticket items?
So, again, I think some of it's just getting people used to the fact that we maybe have some of the things they didn't know we already had here for them. So I think part of the thing that we're not doing enough justice for is making sure people know that Norma's here and we're accessible. Because I tell you what, like I'm standing out on a field and guys are going, man, I wish I could get some more, 6BR. I wish I could get some more 6-dasher, and I pull open my website and I go, hey, look, it's in stock. It's here in Savannah and it'll ship, as soon as they get back on Monday. And, I went in yesterday afternoon and saw that there was orders for 6-dasher and 6BR. So, again, part of it's just getting people to know that you're here. I know 6GT, people have talked a lot, do we have the capability? Do I have what's there already? I got to ask those questions because it's like, going into it, I didn't know exactly what realm to expect. And when you walk away going 80+% of shooters are shooting 6mm something, and you're going, okay, how hard can we support the 6mm market now? And that's some of the things that we walk away from, where when there wasn't a person here to do that work to understand what was going on, they're relying on Google, they're relying on whatever we got a lot of the decisions in this company that were made because of what they do in Europe. And I can't tell you how many times I've got a sheet where they're like, hey, we're going to release this new thing. It's a 9x3 by whatever and an 8x7 by what. And I'm like going, dude, nobody here cares. Like,
we don't care.
I'm like, there's like 10 people in the United States that care that you're launching that, which means I'm not ordering any from you anyways, because I got to buy a pallet of it and I don't need a pallet of it. I need one case. So like the first thing I did is I was actually on calls Monday morning with our facility saying, what 6mm projectiles do we have? How quick can I get them? What other 6mm cases are you making that you have in progress? I made sure they knew 6GT is something that I need. And started those conversations already. What's nice is when you have the person that's the guy responsible for the product line, when he finds out something needs worked on, he can go to the people and say, what is it going to take to do this? Not to say it's a bad thing when you get your marketing people that show up to these events and want to tell you about the brand, but in the end, they go back and say, we had a really great event and everybody really liked the idea that Norma was there and there's some people that really like Norma, but it's sometimes hard to come back with what you need to do. What's the next step? So, it's like I said, I was on the phone with Sweden Monday morning when they were in the office. Was it 6 hour time difference? So
Our
I woke
difference.
up in the morning and said, "Hey, my buddy Anton, let's go, dude."
So I agree with you. I think the best way to know what you need to market is to be immersed in the sport. So when are we going to see you out there with a rifle?
So the plan's this next season. So I've been eyeballing my options, knowing that I'm going to be shooting Norma. I mean, it's kind of where we're at here. I mean, hopefully I can get a good deal on some ammunition. And
Sure.
I don't know if you know anybody.
yeah, and so I'm really looking at sticking it out in some of the production divisions, knowing that we're a manufacturer of a good quality ammunition, that you could go into this sport and start out with this stuff. I know some people really want to get to the point where they're pushing the limits of what they do. Loading is a great option for that. How do I build into this under the idea of the guy that wants to get started in the industry, get started in the sport, starts to enjoy it? So I've already started eyeballing some, how do I get into production class? How do I get in production class of both the center fire side and the rim fire side? How do I stick it out and show you that you could come and enjoy yourself on what I would consider a budget, which I say loosely.
I had one of those once.
Because it's, I think more people can go do it and enjoy themselves, and not spend nearly what they think it would take to at least be out there enjoying themselves. Sunday's a perfect example. The second best shooter of the day shooting a CZ 457 with a budget scope on it. Well, budget, again, figuratively budget, that's running production class.
Yep. And
so again, it can be done. Things can be accomplished. You can't go buy the cheapest gun that's out there. You can't go buy the cheapest optic that's out there, but you can get a little more affordable and enjoy the sport.
Yep, that's how I started out in rimfire. I got a CZ 457. I put a Athlon Argos Gen 2 on it. I was like just sitting under $1,000. I was like, oh, this is great. It's under $1,000. I got this whole hobby. Now the gun has a Vortex Razor Gen 2 on it. It's this gun's mini me, so same chassis, but I still had just as much fun when it was a sub $1,000 rifle.
Yep, and I think that's the cool thing about both the rimfire and centerfire divisions of this. I mean, we were talking a little bit. This rimfire just opens up so much opportunity for people to get into the sport, enjoy the sport. Your investment's not as big from a platform standpoint. The ammunition is not nearly as expensive. I mean, everybody's shooting production ammunition, really. I mean, there's, that's people are buying ammunition, so it's not too crazy. And then, they're getting out there enjoying it. And one of the things I saw, it's, if you show up and you don't have the right thing that's an accessory, people are quick to hand you something if necessary when you're out there trying to learn. You don't have to worry about the fact that, oh, I should have bought this and I didn't, because somebody's willing to help you out.
Let's say I would say the most likely way for a fight to happen at a rimfire match is for a new shooter to ask one person if they could borrow their bag, because then everybody else that hears them is going to be grabbing their bag and say, no, mine's better. You should use mine. No, you sure you don't want to try mine?
Yeah. So, definitely this next season, I will be full steam in. I got to decide how many matches to make it to, how in depth to get. Again, wife and kids, you got to kind of balance out life and not take away every weekend known to the world, or else I'll end up going missing for you guys and you'll never hear from me again. But you got to balance all that out. But she's very understanding with the idea, and I've even started some conversations about the fact of, she's got a lot of sensitivity to noise, but rimfire would be a great opportunity. The noise levels are much less, and you can go out and still enjoy yourself a lot. So maybe I can get her to start coming some too, and then it's a husband-wife date night or something.
So you'll see it at a lot of the larger matches. There are just whole families. They, it's Thursday afternoon, they pile in the truck with a camper on the back of it and spend the weekend at the range. Some people do it a little bit differently. Dad gets dropped off at the range in the morning. Mom takes the truck and goes into town and goes shopping while dad's shooting. But, there's different ways to go about it. But yeah, like the best thing about, talking about how quiet rimfire matches are, everybody, there's nobody shoots high velocity. Everybody has long barrels and half the people have suppressors.
Yeah.
Well, and shooting a 22 match too, y'all could share one. You would only have to have one rifle. You wouldn't have to have, as long as you're both. I can't do that because my husband's a lefty and I'm a righty. So I have to get another, we have to have two. So
I was like, don't be saying those kind of things out loud,
So when you show up to a match with a pink gun, we're gonna know why.
It's all good, I'll shoot a pink gun every day of the week.
Hey, if your wife is there doing it with you, like props to you for shooting the pink one, so she'll be there. I think that's great. That's part of why I love 22, because it's a family oriented sport.
Kevin from GSL Suppressors up here said, yeah, you should definitely get her some suppressors. And then Tracy Lewis, who always shoots with Andy Lewis because they're like married and they shoot together, said fun times. So that's some good recommendations there.
Yeah, I tell you, it's like once you go suppressor, you basically never want to go back on like anything. I mean, it's definitely one of those where, heck, I'll put it on my hunting rifles because I'm just that, I'm to the point now where I'm like, I'll just put it on everything.
All right,
yeah, so definitely a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great time. Just hoping to keep diving in. The hardest part that I get to is the further down this rabbit hole to get, the less I shoot my pistols.
So I did that. I realized like a month ago that I had not put a single round through any of my pistols like all year and maybe longer. And like the whole reason why I originally got into shooting is because like, it would be great to like, if I'm getting mugged, to be able to protect myself. I was like,
the good news is if you're going to get mugged, they're only going to be about 5 feet away. And if you can't hit something 5 feet away, you probably just shouldn't carry a gun.
True.
That is very true.
So what do you see as the future for Norma, saying like 1, 5, and maybe even 10 years?
So the biggest thing with Norma is going to be expansion. I mean, you're going to see more and more of us. It's going to continue to grow. I mean, again, we're moving on to, I think it's like a 40-acre lot. I mean, and so when you got 40 acres and you got lots of facilities going up on it and you're looking at big dollars to put it in, you're going to be expanding. So I'm excited for moving more of our R&D capabilities over here to stateside so that we can start pushing what direction we really want from our R&D versus getting in line for the global R&D. Less 8-point whatever, 9-point whatever, weird oddball European rounds, and focus on what we really want to do here. So that's kind of what's exciting to me is seeing more and more of that. And we're going to keep pushing out there so that people know who we are, know what they're getting. I mean, the people that have gotten our products before, they know what they're getting. They know that they're getting a really quality brass. They know that it's a high-end product that's going to do the job that needs done. So we're excited to bring more of that to the US side, and not be so reliant on our European side.
Yeah, that is going to be awesome to kind of be able to, at least to a point, control your own destiny. Like I don't think you're going to sell very much GT in Russia, but like you'll sell the crap out here.
We just got to convince Russia that they need it,
Well, they saw at the International Precision Rifle Federation, or no, they didn't.
Maybe don't sell anything to Russia right now.
Yeah, that is true. That was a poor choice.
That was a bad example.
Yeah.
Well, we could just drill some holes in it or something, or compress the powder really far so that it, maybe does a little bit more on the wrong directions.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to play a part in that, any of that mess personally.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest things when you start talking firearms industry, making sure that you're, what business are you in, and
Mhm.
how are you the good guy in all of this? Because in the end, we're good people doing things because we love them, not for wrong motives and and reasoning that is against other people. That doesn't mean us as a community aren't willing to stand up and do what's necessary when necessary, but overall, it's the firearms community gets a bad rap from a lot of people, and the goal is to try to build further on why this is such a good industry, why the sport's such a great sport, why you can have a lot of fun, enjoy things with your family, enjoy your life, and really just have a lot of fun with what this is. And go out and maybe put some stuff in the freezer when you need to.
Yeah, exactly.
That is right.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Like in the world that like our competition shooting world and sport shooting world, like we don't really think about like what lots of ammo is used for. And then you'll talk to some people that have been involved in international sales, and you're like,
Precision rifle is really a very small facet of the industry. I mean, it's in comparison, it's very small. Precision rifle, we might have 5,000 people that are shooting it, regularly.
Yeah, compared to the amount of whitetail hunters.
Right. If you look at ammunition sales, we're just a dent in it, really. We like to think that we're all of it.
I would say what's nice though is usually it's a consistent piece of the market, because people just keep buying and shooting and buying and shooting and buying and shooting. At least this brings future versus the guy that stockpiles in his basement until it's until the pile's big enough, right?
Or the people
we like those people too. I love those people. I want them to stockpile more. Keep on stockpiling.
Or the people that all they do is hunt, and they buy one box of ammo and it lasts them all year because they go zero and then they go sit in a tree stand and they pull the trigger 3 times the season. And
no, you got it wrong. They go sit in the tree stand, pull the trigger 3 times, miss, then go zero, then go back to the tree stand.
Actually, I got a buddy that about 4 hunting seasons ago, he missed 3 deer, and we're like, man, are you doing all right? And he's like, I think there's something wrong with my rifle. We're like, did you go check it before you came up to camp this year? He's like, I got busy and I didn't get a chance to. And I was like, oh. So we got all done with deer camp. He went back and he was like, I think he was like 8 inches high and like 10 inches right. And like, so, and then he thought he was taking long shots. So he's like shooting at the top of the back and he's just sailing them over the top of them, and yeah. So he never forgets to go and sight a rifle in like the last 3 years. He's always like, I'm going to sight my rifles and who else is coming? So.
Wow, that's hilarious. Well, it happens, but I know the hunters, there's probably more hunters, but they don't buy probably the same volumes that precision rifle buys.
Yeah, I usually need for hunting maybe 6 rounds, 5 to make sure I'm still sighted in, and then 1 to shoot a deer.
And then you're good.
and then the rest of the ammo goes in the bottom of the box, and I buy a new box for the next year. So I got like boxes of 15 rounds,
A bunch of partial boxes.
Just because you never know when I'm going to end up needing some more one season, and I hate to not have enough. So it's like if I go take that box and I shoot 5 to verify, and then I've only got 9 rounds left, I'm worried that I won't have enough. I don't know. I'm just.
That's hilarious. Too funny.
I might need to get 9 deer, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe. You got any more lives, Greg?
Yeah, Johnny asked if you guys have any plans to put a local normal precision rifle shooting team together. They have lots of good local shooters.
So, I don't know yet. Again, the hard part. So again, from my side, I get to help push ideas. But usually things like that are going to be mostly driven by like our marketing teams. Again, I would bet that eventually we're going to get to a stage like that. Once we kind of get established and hopefully spend a little less money buying a ton of equipment, because the next year is going to be a little rough on the pocketbook. That's for sure. We're going to be buying a lot of equipment and putting up some pretty big buildings. So it makes it a little tough to go, how much money do we want to spend on, sponsorship type things? But once we get settled, I would bet that that's going to become more and more of a reality. We've already had some conversations about some things that we can at least support on more of a minimal platform. We do some things out there. I mean, if there's local people or if there's even people anywhere that are interested in the brand and think that they could help bring some things to the company, feel free to reach out. We've got some great people in the marketing team. Try to go through and the some of the contact me type stuff, and they'll at least respond to you.
I was about to say, if you really don't like your marketing, if there's somebody in marketing you don't like, if you want to give their email, like, hey, if you want to be sponsored, reach out to this email. And
my only problem is so far they're pretty nice. So far I like them pretty much. I mean, it's only been 3 months.
Well, then don't do it. Then don't do it. I just am joking because we always harass people like, so what's that email that everybody needs to blow up?
I lucked out and they invited me to one of their shooting events like the second week I was here. And so up on social media for Norma, they've got a video of a guy walking up shooting our frangible at some steel plates, a steel silhouette. Luckily, that's me. So I got to be the rifle shooter that rolls right up on the target and just blasts it dumps the mag into it. And we've gotten some interesting feedback. We're like, yeah, no, I wouldn't get that close. I don't care what it is. And that stuff's really cool. So if there's ever times where people want to go have some fun on some steel, our frangible training ammunition is cool because it explodes into powder. It's a compressed round. It's just so fun to shoot. I mean, you could put a barrel 2-3 inches from the plate and just sit there and blast at it.
That's cool. Greg, we have any more lives?
We are good on the live side.
All right. I think we can wrap it down to shout outs, and you normally start. So go ahead.
All right. I have GSL suppressors up there. We're talking about how awesome suppressed 22s are, and anything suppressed is automatically more cool. Shooters and Sharpshooters of Augusta, our local indoor and outdoor ranges. PDC Custom, the most beautiful rifle chassis known to man right there. Shooters World Powder for all your reloading needs. Hunter's HD Gold. That combined with that awesome Gen 3 Razor up there lets me actually see when I miss the target instead of just guessing that I missed the target. And Fix-It Sticks, so we can take stuff apart and put it back together again. All
right. Mike, you got any shout outs?
Again, I'm good from our side, other than I really appreciate you guys letting me come on, spend some time with you. Again, I'm new to the industry, but only from a official capacity. So it's like I'm really looking forward to diving in as we get closer to some other projects. Definitely want to keep in touch with you guys. Definitely want to keep growing some opportunities to talk and see where we can go. Our big thing is, how do we get out into the market? How do we get out there and give the market what they want, not just what we think they want? So we've got a lot of cool things. A lot of the stuff that we do, it's not traditional. So it's a little bit different. And so you got to kind of spend enough time making sure you understand what it is. And we're just excited to be down here in Savannah, enjoying our time. And I'm excited to be in the South. So look forward to spending more time with you guys.
That's awesome. And then for me, I just want to shout you out for spending what, an hour and a half or 2 hours almost of your Tuesday night. I know you've got a beautiful family you are wanting to get back to and work all day and all that. So I appreciate you coming on and, spending the time to go through and talk and educate our guests. And it really is kind of an educational thing a lot of times for people to learn about the companies that we have on. So I appreciate you being willing to do that. And I always shout out my husband for giving me up on Tuesday nights for an hour and a half, 2 hours to let me do this. It's always a rush, hurry, here's dinner. And, he usually gets dumped with cleaning it up. So shout out to him for that. And with that, it'll be a wrap for episode 385, and we will see everybody next time.